Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for the Traitors US
Mhm.
Season 4, Episode 10. We are almost to the finale, guys. There's only one episode left, not including the reunion, and we're in a very bizarre spot because there's a big part of my brain right now that does feel like Rob Rausch made some mistakes in this episode, and yet I'm here at the end of it feeling like, is there any way he can actually possibly lose at this point?
I don't think he loses. I think this has been kind of in the cards for a while now that he is going to win this thing. I mean, the fact that people are only now kind of cluing in to Candace putting out there Rob's name a bunch of times, and only now they're kind of like, maybe that means something. It's way too late in the game for this to be coming around. But I will say that I really liked seeing Rob have his feet held to the fire on this so that he had to actually get out of some sort of jeopardy. Because while it's fun watching somebody who's a really good trader like Sari go through the whole season puppeting everybody and not
Yeah.
really be in jeopardy because her game is so good,
Mhm.
it's also really cool to see somebody who, like Rob, who's been playing a really good game, an excellent social game, actually be able to get out of this, because I wasn't sure he was going to be able to. And now watching him get to the other side of this,
Mhm.
I have a lot of respect for this game.
Yeah, let's just make a Survivor analogy here because Survivor 50 is premiering next week.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Kim Spradlin is the best winner who has come on for the first time they played and just dominated from start to finish.
She was great.
But her season is boring, and I would never watch her season ever again because she basically controlled every single aspect of it. There were people literally, well, maybe not literally, but they were just falling down, being like, please, Kim, let us give you the money. But then Tony's first season, he won, but I spent every episode feeling like he was about to get voted off because he kept putting himself in hard places. Like, guess what's
Mhm.
much more entertaining? It is so much more entertaining to watch the traders when somebody who is dominating the game does get a little bit of jeopardy. I'm
Yes.
glad that we saw it for Rob in this episode. I'm glad that he was able to pivot.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of discourse online this season about whether or not Rob is a good trader or a bad trader, and all the faithfuls are just big dum-dums. And I hear that every single season, where you have a trader that's really dominating and then everyone online is just like, "Oh, well, all the faithfuls are just a bunch of dum-dums. So that's why that person is actually doing well." And I don't think that that's the case. And this season in particular, with this episode, it shows me that that's not the case, because they were actually on Rob and they had enough, maybe not this roundtable, but they had enough to get that conversation started where maybe they could get the votes together on the next roundtable. But he was in jeopardy and he was able to get out of jeopardy. Like, this is not just everybody's oblivious all season long. They got there. It just took them a while to get there.
Well, and this is the thing. We had a situation in this episode where Natalie, who we all know is really smart, starts to put some
Yes.
things together. Her and Tara finally put on the "we need to get along" shirt, which they have been needing to do for the past several weeks now. Johnny, who I have been just really hard on for about a month now, actually starts to get the ball rolling. We see a situation in this episode where a couple of faithful really do start to show that they're capable of figuring things out. But then we also have a reminder that one strategic miscue from sometimes even just one player can cause this chain of events that make everything fall apart. So Rob does some things that are really good in this episode. He does some things that are questionable. And then just one person, Tara, ends up doing something that really sinks almost everybody's game.
Everybody's game, but really Rob. I mean, everything that Tara did just handed Rob the win. They had him and they lost it, and it is all because of Tara.
Okay. We're going to get into everything that happened in this episode, all the strategic moves. Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are here discussing the Traitors US Season 4.
Mhm.
But as we said, Survivor 50 right around the corner.
Yeah.
This season has been hyped up for a year now. I just want to see it happen. I hope it's as good as the million different things that Jeff Probst is saying about it.
Yeah, we're really excited to be covering it here at the channel. We'll be back this summer with Big Brother live feeds. We will be back in the fall with Survivor 51. So for sure, hit that subscribe button and stick with us. And if you want to support us further, please consider joining our memberships. It's a way to help support us here at the channel to be able to continue to bring you more videos. Right now, we are covering exclusively over there Hijack Season 2, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. That is starting up next week, and we're going to be covering that over there as well. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined. It has really meant a lot to us, and it's been very overwhelming to see everybody hitting that join button. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. We so much support that. Let us begin now by seeing poor my beloved Kristen Kish being told that she has to pack her knives and go. She gets eliminated at the start of this episode.
I was shocked, actually. I really thought they were going to get rid of Natalie. I mean, when we saw them in the turret and they were really discussing why and how they were going to be able to maneuver this better than keeping her in the game and trying to convince her that Eric is fine and not to go after Eric. I was like, okay, I get it. If all they have to convince is Mark, then that's a bit of an easier deal than having to deal with Mark and Kristen.
Okay, I am going to plant my flag on a hill and I'm going to stand on it. I'm not going to do the revisionist history thing where I act like just because Rob is in an amazing position now entering the finale, this was the right move. I feel like he should have kept Kristen. I think he should have like he said, he should have gotten rid of Natalie. And
yes.
Like, here's fundamentally why.
He didn't have to be in jeopardy at all.
He didn't have to be in jeopardy at all. If you keep Kristen, who was Kristen going after? Eric. So let's just play all of this out for a moment. Yeah, there is a risk that he loses his fellow traitor. Eric's obviously worried about it. Like, I understand all that. But if Rob just decides, you know what, I'm going to be really cutthroat. I'm just going to let Eric go at this next banishment after Natalie is taken out. Then you have given the faithful a male traitor, and this is the last time they're going to know one way or another. So you have basically whatever sort of fear there is that, oh, there has to be a male traitor, you have completely washed that away. You still have, moving into the end game here, you're close enough to Kristen, you're close enough to Mark, you still have the Johnny and Tara debacle. You can try to pin things on the two of them.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is if we believe what Rob is saying in his confessionals, that this is getting really hard for him. I don't know Rob outside of the show. I don't know him personally. I don't really know a lot about him. So if I'm taking him for face value, and typically when you're in confessionals, you're being a little more honest because it's just you and the audience at that point. Of course, there's people up there that will play it up and do all kinds of other things. But if he's being honest with us and he's like, I have been making actual connections here. I'm an emotional guy, believe it or not, and I'm having a really hard time sitting on all these lies because I know that I'm going to have to turn to people who are my friends, people that I've built really close relationships with in that finale, and be like, I'm a traitor and I'm taking all that money. You know, he's really starting to feel the weight of that. If that's true, and with him saying in confessionals about Eric, I really want to ride to the end with Eric. He is somebody that I care about. I really like him as well. Then he really is stuck in this kind of position of he's not thinking game-wise as well as he was earlier in the season. And there's a couple instances of that throughout this episode, like the challenge when he ends up snapping at Mark. That's not a proper game move at that point. That could have been something that really jeopardized his game, but he is getting really emotionally invested.
I think what happens, and this is true for any reality show out there, is I think the longer you're in this weird environment, the more you start to crack. It's sort of similar to the people who go into the Big Brother house saying, I'm going to lie about my job. And then 3 weeks into the game, they're like, guess what?
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm a basketball mascot. I'm an insert job here. It's because you can't keep an act going. And Rob has sort of had this act going for a long time where he's just sort of been this friendly, likable guy to a lot of people, but he's been this sort of ruthless traitor behind the scenes. And
Yep.
I think all of these things, they're coming to a head now for him. Now, it's easy for me to say, because I've said this many times, if I was playing on the Traitors, I would 100% want to be a traitor because it's a lot more devious. And also, you have a chance to win all this money. They will forgive you, Rob. I just feel
Will
like.
they? Will
Sure.
they? Okay, some people get really bitter about that stuff, but it should be okay. I mean, most everybody who's even not on the show anymore that are like playing up like Candace to be like, oh, Robbie, Bobby, this, that, whatever. She's even said under things where she's like, you know what? Actually, I love them. We're fine.
Yeah, it's just, you can play
It's just fun.
It's fun. The show is fun. It's ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about an episode of television here where people were on one of those crazy carnival rides that was kind of similar. When I grew up in my small town in Texas, there was one that would occasionally come around to our neighborhood. I used to be so afraid of going on it because I was like, if they're showing up in my town with 2,000 people, that means this thing is not safe. I'm not getting on it. But if they're doing that, that's just representation. We cannot take the Traitors seriously. We cannot trade. We just have to view it as a silly reality show where people are competing for a prize, but I think everybody should recognize it's just a game.
They should, but I think, you touched on something with Big Brother, and I think that it happens with a lot of different reality shows. It's just you get to know people. You are spending all your time with the same people for so long, whether it's a few weeks, a month, a few months filming this thing. You're not talking to your friends. You're not talking to your family. You're building these heavy connections with people because you're just with them 24/7, talking about your life, talking about who you are, and you are building connections. And I think that people go in with the right mindset. Oh, I'll cut my mother for this money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I really like Ron. We're playing this game. And it's all fun and games until it's friendship.
It's true. It's why it's so easy to be a hypocrite in talking about this stuff because we don't have the burden of other people's feelings on us. But you mentioned the challenge.
Yep.
So here we are yet again. It was not that long ago on the Traitors this season that you pointed out all of the problematic natures of a certain physical challenge that was very slanted to particular people.
Absolutely. Let's put our beef hats on for this challenge.
This challenge is also extremely unfair. The challenges this season, they've either been out of this world excellent, the haunted house stuff, or they have been terrible. And this challenge is funny. It was very entertaining to watch. I loved Maura running around yelling, I am the best at that. Maura, you were terrible at the game, but I love watching you.
So entertaining TV.
I had no idea who she was before this.
Me
I would
neither.
watch her on a lot of other things now, but as entertaining as it was. Now, I understand that there's a medical reason why Eric and Tara could not take part in this.
Of
I am
course.
more than happy to take Alan at his word with that, but it just doesn't feel right to me that Eric, at one of the most pivotal points in the entire game to get a shield, he doesn't have to get spun around. As far as we know, he just has to sit there and then he goes and does this. It's just such an unfair advantage.
Absolutely unfair. Now, I'm sure that this is probably like Survivor, Big Brother, and these other shows where it's like, okay, we have figured out exactly what we're going to be doing as far as challenges all season long. This is what we're going to have. Okay, who's the cast this season? Oh, okay, these two people are not going to be able to participate. Cool, no problem. You can't just pull out a challenge and put in another challenge. I understand that. But you can give the two people that are not spinning around a little bit of a time deficit here. Just be like, okay, you have to wait 10 extra seconds because these other people are getting spun around and it could maybe cost them 5 or 10 seconds. So you're going to have to wait 5 or 10 seconds before you run off. They have to be able to run off first.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We saw these confessionals in this challenge, which I actually really enjoyed. I liked hearing perspectives on how people are making this easier on themselves. Like, my guy Mark saying, as a dancer, I'm going to kind of tuck my body in. I'm used to spinning. I actually appreciated a confessional here by Johnny Weir talking about it. A rarity for me. So you guys know, just because if I'm praising Johnny, then I'm very upset at production. You set all this up, but it's like those confessionals didn't matter. There was no strategy here. It was just, oh, Eric doesn't have to be spun around. All right, he's just going to go and find them. Yeah, I know there's probably a little bit of luck depending on where you go and find them, but it doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Yeah, there is definitely some luck with that. We heard some of them strategizing, being like, oh, I'm sure they're in the ones that are all the furthest away from here because there is the whole, oh, you're going to keep losing chairs. Now, let's talk about Rob's outburst. And I know he kind of tried to apologize for it later and be like, Mark, it's not you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Alan did not tell anybody that as you're spinning around and you go out to get your money, that when you come back, there will be a chair missing each time. It is musical chairs, but for money. So we've got Rob coming back, really upset. His chair is gone. He's got money in his hand. He's got more money than Mark had. Mark came back with $750. He's got like $1,500. And it's more frustration about the situation, but he takes it out on Mark, which is a really bad strategic move. And Rob, I just feel like wasn't thinking strategically anymore. It didn't seem like it at the breakfast. He did seem really down and in his head about things. And then here he's having this outburst. At first I was kind of like, is he just so secure in this game that he doesn't care anymore? Or is it what he said and that he is getting really emotionally invested in people and the game as well, that strategy is starting to go out the window and his feelings are just coming out?
I think it's a couple of different things. I think that is a big part of it. Feelings are coming into play. But this is the other idea here. I'm going to make a very extreme example. But when you're playing a game for a very long time and you're doing a great job, you know that the finish line is right around the corner. You start to get a little bit sweaty. Your hands start to shake. There is this one PlayStation trophy I was trying really, really hard to get that required me to beat 10 bosses in a row. You guys know what I'm talking about. Of course, it's FF7. But I was doing all of these battles.
Shocking.
But by the time I got to like the 9th one and the 10th one, this was the hardest thing I've ever done in video games. I could barely focus because I was like, if I just mess up this one thing, everything I've done falls apart. And I think Rob's feeling that pressure now, and he is competitive, and it's causing him, to get emotional, to start to spiral a little bit. And I understand that from the most ridiculous way possible.
Let's talk about Tara here now. It is time. Everybody put on your hard hat.
Right.
Tara, put on your hard hat. She really starts playing the game. She's like, you know what? We're not taking a look at Rob. We need to start taking a look at Rob. And she talks to Natalie, who's been tight with Rob since day one. And even Natalie's like, yeah, I have been tight with Rob since day one. I have just trusted him, no problem, willy-nilly throughout this game. He is my guy. But now I'm kind of sitting back being like, why haven't I been taken out yet? I am a gamer. I'm really good at strategic play. Why am I still here? Why would I be here? Maybe it's because Rob is a traitor and I'm being protected. And she's not wrong. I mean, it makes sense for Rob to be keeping around people who are going to vote with him so that he can get to the end. And it has been working this whole time. But Tara did a really good job really going in on that and getting Natalie on her side. I was really shocked that she was able to do that. But Natalie, she was all in. She's like, okay, we got to pull in more people. Maura, no, it didn't work out. You're not going to be able to get her. I mean, I was really shocked that they tried, but she's not having that. But they really went out after people, pitching, selling this whole thing. By the end of it, it seemed like they kind of realized they didn't have enough votes with this whole thing, but they were thinking about maybe trying to pitch it anyways because Natalie's name was getting thrown out there. Tara, you can't bring somebody in like you did with Natalie and then fence ride at the round table. It's so bad.
Okay, so there's two sides of the coin here. There's before the round table and there's after the round table starts. And before the round table, like you, I will be here praising Tara with great significance. For the first time, I really felt like she was locked in.
Yes.
She was playing. I think Natalie did a really good job of listening, a very underrated skill. You have to be willing to pivot when you're starting to realize, oh, you have a great point. I even thought Natalie trying to help Maura during the challenge, thinking, okay, this might be something she'll remember.
Yes.
It didn't work out that way, but
No.
I still felt like Natalie was playing the game well. I mean, I've been a fan of Natalie ever since she was on The
I
Amazing
love
Race
her.
multiple times. It's just, I really wanted to see her pull through. And this episode, like, this was the Natalie that shines time and time again. We saw this on multiple Survivor seasons.
Yeah.
She is at her best when it feels like everything is stacked against her. So she goes, she starts having conversations with people.
Hmm.
Mark, who has been sort of pseudo adjacent to Rob for a lot of the season, Mark's starting to listen. It feels like, okay, maybe the ball is rolling here to the extent where I don't know if we have the votes, but at the same time, things can change at the round table. And we got a prime example in this episode of how things can change because of how terrible and how cowardly Tara
What a
decided.
coward.
Like, this is not the Olympics. You're not up there talking about figure skating with Johnny. This is a competition where at some point you have to take a risk. You have to try to do something. Otherwise, you can get to the end, but you're going to get played by a traitor. You're going to lose, and you're not going to have anyone's respect. I will always respect people who try their best, and even if it doesn't work, I will feel good about their effort.
Yeah, the biggest issue I think that Natalie was just up against was she was the name, and she knew that her name was being floated out there. And if she didn't take the shot now, there was going to be no next week to be able to do anything about Rob, that she really had to push to get that together. And I think because of how tight she was with Tara really pushing this narrative and bringing in Johnny and maybe being able to flip Mark and starting to kind of really bring people together. If Tara had just stood her ground with what she believed and got off the fence of her own making, that they had a shot. I don't know if they were going to actually get the votes together, but there was a shot of flipping somebody like Mark over.
Yeah, you have to at the very least try. Like, that's all you can really ask for at this point when it feels like you're so close to the end and Rob's clearly got all these people on his side. Like,
Yes.
making it through another roundtable is only so good for so long. And I really felt super, super bad for Natalie as this went on.
So bad. Oh my God.
Like, you can argue that, all right, Natalie shouldn't have said what she said to Tara at the round table, where she basically accused her of going all out before and now fence sitting, and then Tara got really, really.
Truth.
It's
though.
true. It's 100% true.
He totally just like hung her out to dry like laundry. It was not okay.
No.
I totally understand. Natalie had to go out swinging at that point.
Yeah.
She did everything that she could to go out swinging, even at the end to be like, hey, everybody, you know what? I made a mistake and I'm really sorry about it. I was like, oh my goodness, she has done everything.
I have a ton of respect for Natalie. It's not like I didn't before this season, but I still have all this respect because she was willing to put herself on the line. And Tara just comes across here as playing either petty or emotional with her vote because she votes for Natalie. And yeah, you can say it's by consensus, but it really felt like it was because Natalie called her out.
Yep.
She was upset about it and she just wanted to stick it to her in that moment, which I'm biased. I love Natalie. I just did not like that at all. It rubbed me the wrong way.
No, I think if you're gonna go for something and you're telling somebody that you're really gonna go for it before you go in, you have to stick to the plan. If you're not gonna stick to the plan, like what are you doing? Why are you burning an ally like that? Tell them before you go in to be like, you know what? I'm having second thoughts. I'm not gonna do it after all, instead of just like letting it all go like this. Like, I get that Tara was kind of like, hey, I don't want to be the person to have to say it.
Mhm.
No, that was like, no problem. I will say it. I will get it out there. But she expected Tara to have her back, and she should have expected it. It was bad.
Yeah, you have these conversations going into all of this for a reason.
Right.
Now, this is where Rob does play the dagger.
It's the last time he had it, so.
I will say thumbs up on the dagger as a twist for this particular round of the Traitors. I don't know if they bring it back. I thought it worked well here, mostly because of the way that Rob played it. He leveraged it to get a lot of other allies on his side to trust him. And then, like a lot of Survivor people do immunity idols, he just saved it until the last time he had to use it. He didn't even need it, but I appreciate that he did use it as opposed to just being like, I don't care. I would want to get rid of anybody who just doesn't use an advantage because they think they're being too cool for school.
If he didn't use that advantage, I would think that he's a traitor.
Mm.
I would absolutely have been like, that's the problem. You're a little too comfy in that to be having that dagger and not using it.
All right, let's have a visit to Realism Town, which is not a very
Mhm.
good name for this town, but we're here anyway. So we're at this point now where there's 6 people left in the game
Yeah.
going into the final murder. Now,
Yes.
Eric and Rob, I think it's fair to say they're not going to be getting rid of Mora moving into the next part of the finale.
No, I know that they're trying to make it look like that with this cliffhanger of focusing on her over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But Rob doesn't need to get rid of faithfuls who are going to take him to the end at the finish line. This doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not her.
No, it's not going to be her. Here's what I would do if I am Rob and Eric in this situation. Go ahead and just split up Tara and Johnny.
1,000%, they need to be broken
Yeah.
up. They cannot be voting together anymore.
Yeah, you do not need that sort of danger. It was very tricky that you have them both still in the game even at this point. I would get rid
Yeah.
of Johnny,
I think he's gone.
who actually is starting to wake up. Congratulations, Johnny, for mentioning Rob as a traitor when there is literally nothing you can do about it anymore.
Yeah, I know. And he has mentioned him as a traitor in the past as well, just went over everybody's heads. But I feel like it's going to be Johnny. They've said that Tara's still there causing, a ruckus, which is what they want.
Yeah.
And you do have to split. You cannot have them voting the same.
No, it just feels like, I hope your hard hats are still on here because this is the likely pathway for the finale here is that we see Johnny go next and
Yeah.
then we'll probably lose either Tara and Mark in some sort of order. Then
Right.
Mora can go to the very, very end. And then to me, it really just comes down to, is Rob going to try to find a way to get rid of Eric? Is Eric going to try to
I don't
find a
think
good
so.
way? I don't think so either.
I don't think that Rob is interested in getting rid of Eric, and Eric is not going to get rid of Rob.
No, entertainment wise, I would love it. I do like that people are clocking the fact that Eric, okay, I'm also going to say this. I don't know if you deserve this money, Eric, because you just sat there and did nothing the entire round table. He seems like a nice guy. I would like to be Eric's friend. I do not want Eric, who just sat there, to be the winner over all these. Natalie went down swinging, trying every single thing. She gets no money. Eric just sits there. He gets half the money. This does not sit right with me.
Okay, I'm going to say in defense of Eric, this was the right move. You've got Natalie fighting with Tara, Tara fighting with Natalie, everybody's fighting with Rob. Why are you going to put a target on yourself during this particular round table? It doesn't make any sense. This is the correct move. It may not be exciting and it may be whatever, but I don't care how you get to the end. If you make it to the end of the game, you earn your money. It doesn't matter. He deserves his money and he made the right choice. If he had started talking a lot and bringing up a bunch of whatever, it's just going to be seemingly very weird. He's been a very quiet guy a lot of this season. He's talked at the round table a little bit here and there, but you have a really fierce fight going on with Tara and Natalie, and Eric's all of a sudden going to be like, excuse me. I would just be like, what do you have to say, Eric? Like, why is this happening? He made the right choice. That's where I am. Let us know in the comments.
I'm petty. That's the choice I'm making. I am sitting here being like, I only want you to win the money if you have done everything known to mankind.
And I think he has. I think he played a really good, faithful game. He was very social and made a lot of really good relationships. He unknowingly made a very good relationship with a traitor, which then got him recruited. He was in a little bit of hot water last episode. He was able to get out of that by murdering. And this episode, I think he did the right thing. There were other people that had the spotlight on them. He did not need to step into the spotlight. Rob has been playing that game all season long.
I am now going to go and hide before Eric's fans come to me with a Jack in a Box to take me out before we get into the finale. But that is where we are following the Traitors US Season 4, Episode 10. Let us know what you think about this episode, your finale predictions, a whole lot more. Hit that subscribe button and you can support us further, like Jess said, by joining our memberships. We are covering Monarch coming up very, very soon. Very, very excited about that. Thank you guys for your support. We'll see you here next time.